Greatness, excellence, and motivation. Always be a gem.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this week's edition of Great Employees Matter. We are the podcast that focuses on employees, teaching them how to rise from average to great, having them become excellent employees so that their employer recognizes them. We work with the employer to make sure that they take care of their most valuable asset, their employees. Today we have a different guest than what you're used to having us on the show. The title of today's show is Purpose Meets Preparation, Building Future Leaders with Brian E. Sibley. Give you a little background about Brian. Brian is a Navy veteran. Thank you for your service. He is a certified life coach, and he's the author of a book that we're going to be talking about extensively today named The Success Profile. We encourage everybody to get a copy of it, especially if you have kids. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Kobe. I'll go ahead and do the regular intro to the show, or to this segment anyway. And Kobe, it's all yours.
Yeah, welcome to Great Employees Matter, where greatness, excellence, and motivation is our staple. We got a great guest for you today, so please make sure you like, subscribe, share, jump into the comments. I'm going to be looking at that. I think we're going to try to get to you guys as the comments come up, but sometimes we'll do it after, towards the end. But I'm going to make sure everybody that comes in and represents get represented online. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and get into the conversation and welcome Mr. Sibley to the show. Mr. Sibley, welcome to Great Employees Matter, man.
I appreciate you. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited, guys. Thank you for having me.
Nah, man, it's been we've been talking about you coming on for a little while. And so I'm going to just go back. You're an incredible person. So I want to start from the beginning. I want to just ask you some basic questions, and we can go little by little, and we'll just go. So let's start out by, where are you from, Mr. Brian?
I'm from the beautiful city of Chicago, Illinois, South Side.
Oh, Chicago. My dad's from Chicago. That's where I think that's where I was made, but I was born in California. It's a long story. But Chicago's definitely dope. What brings you out here to Las Vegas?
It's been a long road to get to Las Vegas, but God solidified me being here within 2 weeks of me being here. Being out here for 2 years now, just been able to meet some incredible people. I think that people want to share, people want to allow you to grow. And so I felt like Los Angeles stagnated me, or was trying to stagnate me. And, as a visionary, you have to know when to pivot. You have to know when to pivot. You have to know what that pivot looks like. I think my spirituality weighs high because out of all the places that I could have been in the U.S., Vegas was where I settled, and I feel at home. I feel the way at home.
Well, so see, you're from Chicago. We got a saying out here with a couple of us out here, coined by Mr. John Johnson from Studio Talk, one of my clients. Los Angeles made, but Vegas paid. We love it out here.
Pay me, Vegas.
Yeah, we love it here because Vegas treats you good. So
Amen.
Thank you, Vegas.
Yes, sir.
Vegas treats you good. So you describe yourself as a spark. What was the moment in your life that first lit that fire?
I think the spark, and just to be completely transparent, the spark started with my teachers, right? Allow me to spark, right? Because sometimes your teachers can want to tone you down a little bit. My teacher, my language arts teacher specifically, Mrs. Harris, she was in tune with her students to another level, and rest in peace to Miss Harris, right? So when kids didn't want to read with inflection or enthusiasm, she picked the kids that did want to read with enthusiasm and inflection, right? Because those kids don't even know they're working on their craft, working on what they could possibly be doing long-term right now in middle school. After that, I would say it was just talking to young ladies, talking to young ladies. Okay. So going to the beach, going to the skating rink, going to the movies, right? This is where I built my confidence as it relates to talking to different groups of people. Okay. The next step for that would have been the Navy, because you're on a ship with 5,000 people. For those that don't know, sometimes you're on a ship 30, 40 days at a time. Okay. You have to communicate with your shipmates, as they like to call us, right? And there you have it. There you have it.
I mean, since you brought it up, from Chicago to the Navy, to coaching and speaking, how did that shape your purpose? Because you got a pretty special purpose. So, well, first, let's talk about your purpose. And then let's answer that question in reverse.
Mhm.
So tell us what your purpose is right now, because you got a pretty special journey.
So the purpose, right? Back during, I want to say 2008 or 9, there was a young man. His name was Darian Albert from Finger High School. He was a high school student. He was an honor roll student, okay? And he got beat senseless with a 2x4 by a group of young people. They mobbed him, basically. And from there, gave me that spark to say, I have to be a voice of some sort for this not to be an option for not just the honor roll student, but for the kids to even want to do that, right? If you have no future, then yeah, you're going to go beat somebody up with a 2x4. You see what I'm saying? You know where your life is going after that, because you on news, you on the camera. Your life's over.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
And so having something like the success profile for my target audience, those young men who, I don't want to say aspire to do that kind of stuff now, that are in that life, they now have an alternative. Okay? Looking at the new book, okay? On that cover is a sunrise. Once you receive it, it should be a new day for you. That's what a sunrise represents. So if you're ready to receive a new way of life, a new walk, a new path, a new journey, this is where it's at.
I love that. I love that response too, because I always tell everybody, you know, you can always start over no matter what.
Right.
No matter where you're at, no matter what's going on in your life, you can replan. You can always start over. So I love that analogy of the sun is your new beginning. And anytime you get that, that's super dope.
Absolutely.
Progress meets preparation. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Something that I'll relate to that is, you know, as you guys know, the book was just published February of this year, Super Bowl Sunday, to be exact. I literally rolled over in my bed and saw the Amazon email. Your book has been official. Whoa.
Dope. Celebrate it.
Hold on. So then I just had to take a breath and just say, thank you, God, first and foremost, right? I want to shout out my designers, Kenyatta and Nita. I hope y'all on here, because without y'all, this book is not possible. We went through 10 different designers for the interior of the book. We went through 5 different designers for the cover of the book, right? And each one of them have to complement each other. If that cover doesn't look the way it looks, Mr. Kobe, are you trying to connect me with the spool board and all these other people? No, we still got work to do, right? If that interior is not the way it's supposed to be, are the kids receiving it the way they're supposed to, right? So that book is not too masculine or too feminine. It caters to both parties in all genders, all ethnicities, all backgrounds. Preparation meets what was it?
Preparation means progress.
All right, so here we go. Just this month ago, the book is almost getting published, okay, or it's done, okay? I reach out to an organization, Business Professionals of America, who I've been a part of their organization when I was a sophomore in high school. Shout out to Detroit, Michigan, Northwestern High School. I was a part of Business Professionals of America. I cold called them, found their number on the internet. I found them and I said, excuse me, I am a product of Business Professionals of America. I am now 20 years later, a published author. Is there anything coming up event-wise that I can place my book in as a vendor?
I call that the ASK policy. Just ask. And what happened?
Christina, who was in Japan, she received 2 emails and a phone call from me. I kid you not, guys. 2 weeks later, she's getting back from Japan. She calls me at 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm knocked out, dead sleep. I roll over, I see her number pop up on my phone, and I snap right into business mode.
Damn right.
Before that call ended, she was already offering me a spot as a vendor at their National Youth Leadership Conference. What she didn't know was I placed in prepared speech 2nd, 3rd in entrepreneurship 20 years prior. So when we hopped on the Zoom, which was the following week, and I showed her those original letters, Mom, I know you won't hear. I made you dig through crates, through totes, through the entire basement, so that I was validated with this young lady, Christina, from BPA, to know, like, I'm not just telling you a fib. I'm really a part of this organization, and I want to continue the tradition.
I'm
That
gonna
answer
say,
your question?
yeah, it did answer my question, and I'm gonna say this: hey, your mama did it, and I'm gonna
Mama
tell
did
you
it.
why. Because of your energy and how you are, I guarantee you she did it. Because I know the type. And with that, I'm gonna pass it on over to Jimmy. Jimmy, take it over.
Yeah, I'm going to jump to terminology. You just mentioned validation and your credibility as a result of what your mom helped you do. Go back and find those sorts of things. One of my favorite letters in the business world is P. You speak of purpose, planning, and preparation. I have for at least 5 decades have used the phrase proper prior planning prevents poor performance.
Absolutely.
So there's a bunch of P's in our life.
Proper preparation prevents poor performance.
That's right.
Yes,
and it's really important. And so in your thumbnail, the card that we posted alongside you, you talk about from the classroom to the workplace. And so you definitely have a passion for helping youth grow up, right? And take the right steps now so that they don't take too many of the wrong steps along their journey.
Right.
So tell us more about how that your emphasis on helping youth overcome or avoid those obstacles as they're laid in front of them, how that became your passion.
Just thinking about what I had, growing up, I had mentors, right? I had access to these people that wanted to see me grow, right? And so I knew what that meant. And I mean, people outside of my immediate family. Of course, I'm seeing my mom work 2 jobs, right? Of course, I'm seeing my dad be a productive member of society. And like I said, my dad was a veteran as well, right? But it was the youth pastors that I had. It was my assistant principal, Mr. Dudley Locke, who's been my mentor this entire time, okay? Just a quick story about Mr. Locke. Mr. Locke, when he found out that this success profile, like this new elevated version was out, right? I told him, I said, I still have the original one from 14 years old. I asked him to go ahead and get a letter of authenticity done up and notarized. This is history in the making,
man.
And he did it.
Wow.
Okay. Just so people know, don't question the original. Okay. Because it still has the flood marks on it from when the basement almost flooded and everything, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I knew what I had, right? I had the youth pastors, I had the mentors, I had the basketball coaches that spoke about real life situations, not just that particular topic like basketball. Okay. Our youth pastor didn't just talk about God from, right, the religious part of it. He talked about his real life. And so that's what these people need to hear, but from the right person now. Yeah.
Outstanding. We have an affinity also because one of my stepfathers did 4 years in the Navy. He was a fireman on the Enterprise.
Yes, sir.
He did 14 years in the Air Force. My natural father was in the Army, and my other stepfather was in the Marine Corps.
Wow.
And I saw the integrity that was built within them from having served in the service. All 3 of those men came from meager beginnings and rough youths. And they needed to get into the military in order to find themselves.
Absolutely.
And to become men. So can you tell us a little bit about that piece of the journey, how the military itself helped you increase your level of integrity, your level of commitment, your being a man?
So I have to dial it back. About 12 years old, my dad thought it was time to welcome me into being a young man, right? Okay. Certain movies I couldn't watch, certain music I couldn't listen to. And so this rite of passage, he pulled out his photo album. Seeing my dad in Korea, in Japan, in the Philippines, things I'm looking at inside of my social science books. This turned the switch on. He always preached having plan A, plan B, plan C. Okay. This book allows for a plan B, a plan A, a plan B, a plan C, because they know who they are. They know who they are at the core, right? Without the money, without the Instagram, anything. Who are you outside of that? Okay. Same thing with when you participate in the extracurricular activities. It's a given where we come from that we play a sport, basketball, baseball, whatever that is, right? Because we had summer camps back in the day, right? But when you transition to high school and college, those avenues open up tremendously. You got debate club now. You have the theater. You have band. You have so many other things that can help you get to that next level. So you have to think about that. So when it came to seeing my dad in these different countries, I said, wow, this is amazing. And so I just always kept it in the back of my mind, like if basketball don't work out, I got a plan B. Okay, right? Now, when it came to the point where I said, I'm not going to college, I'm not going to the NBA, it's not happening, right? I'm too skinny. I'm gonna just be real. I didn't have the nutrition that I needed either. Mom, I know you hate when I tell this, but it is what it is. You worked in Milwaukee, meals couldn't be prepared every night. When you're exhausting yourself at practice, you need to, the energy you're exerting, you need to put back into you in nutrients, right? So if you don't do that while building muscle, you're not ready for the next level. And because I had a plan B, it was already set. I'm going to the Navy. So shout out to my recruiter. Sorry, y'all, if I'm long-winded. I'm sorry.
No. Please. This is what we do here.
Okay.
It's a conversation.
All right. Mr. Jermaine C. Yancey, that was my Navy recruiter. He stuck to me like white on rice. Not even playing. Thing about it is he was relatable. Same thing I hope to be to these young people that I end up speaking to. Relatability. Okay. He didn't rub off to me like a recruiter, like this was just his job to get paid. It was like, no, I don't want to see you get killed or go to jail. So I'm going to work you out when it's necessary. I'm going to teach you everything you need to know. So when you go to boot camp, here we go. Now, as far as those intangibles you're speaking of, okay, I didn't know what the word integrity even meant. What? No. Okay. I didn't even know what the word integrity meant, right? And as far as discipline, you can always use more. We can never stop growing as adults, okay? And so boot camp allowed for me to understand that, because when I went to boot camp, I was highly rebellious. Highly.
Really?
They almost kicked me out. Mom, you probably don't even know this, but they almost kicked me out because I was rebellious. I didn't want to do what they said. I was transitioning from street life to military life. Senior Chief Peralta brought me in his office. I don't know if I can curse, but I got to say it. He beat the shit out of me. Okay. Wow. He exercised me for 2.5 hours on a Saturday. I was sweating bullets. I caught pneumonia for the next 2 days after that. I was sweating so hard. Okay. And he said, listen, either you're going to let me do this to you or I'm sending you home on the Metro train. Is that the train? The Metro train? It's the Metro train. I'm going to send you home on the Metro train and you're going to leave here worse than you came. Wow. That's the only talk I needed to have with a man like that. Because I said, what am I going to do when I go back? Nothing. I'm going to get back into the same street stuff I was in. And you know that don't last long.
Yeah, amazing. Let me ask you another foundational question.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell from your demeanor that you are a man of faith, as am I.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about how faith, and I'm sure your mom was instrumental in instilling that in you. Mm-hmm. How has that affected your outlook on life and, again, your passion towards helping others? It
doesn't surprise me anymore. I say about maybe up to about two or 3 years ago, I didn't know I was going to be a strong man of faith. I really didn't, because, my recollection of going to church outside of the teen ministry programs I was speaking of, I would go to sleep in church. Like I would go to sleep. I would stay up late on purpose. Grandma, I wish you were on here. Okay. I go to grandma's house. I'm watching Home Alone till like 2 a.m. It's time to go to church at 8:30, 9 o'clock. I barely would have put on clothes, right? So for me to be as strong in my faith and unwavering in my faith as I am, it's like God is really who he is. He's powerful and he's magnetic and he's magical. How has it helped me? Just to know that he won't put anything in front of me that I can't bear.
Amen.
Honestly, to just know, like, the mountain I want to get up, I'm only going to get up with him. That's it. Sometimes people put their faith in other people and they understand why they never reach where they're supposed to reach, right? That pinnacle. Me putting all my faith in him, I'm untouchable.
And he will lead the way.
And he'll lead the way.
Guide you, and it's up to you to make it all happen.
He led me to Vegas. Absolutely. He surrounded me with, I believe, the right core of people that are not just going to tell me what I want to hear, but also give me that positive critique to make me better.
And thank you for being open to that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a big part of it, but that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Lloyd, we would like to include you in this conversation.
One second.
Oh.
I got to shout out Bishop Noel Jones. I still remember the day, Bible conference week, when I got baptized because of whatever sermon he preached in 6th grade. All right. I promise. Go ahead, Mr. Lloyd.
Brian, mental health is something that is in the news an awful lot. It's very prominent these days with everything going on with the immigration raids. A lot of the country is scared, and you have come from this background, in your own words, from street life to military life. How did you get the courage to get up every day, to face the obstacles? And what would you tell the people when they can't get out of bed, or they're just so nervous and so scared that they can't function?
So is this the obstacles from street life to military life, or just in general?
Just in general, for people out there. We have so many people out there that listen to us, and they want to know how they can deal with it.
I believe you just have to do what you love to do in life. I think so many people are chasing the bag, as they say, right? And not understanding that's the detriment to your everyday life. You are not, and even if you have a regular job, right? Okay, that's fine, right? But you still have other time where you could work on your passion projects. I think, Mr. Jimmy, you just spoke on something of an actor, right? Who has a complete connection to providing homes and shelter for foster youth, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, he's an actor, but he understands what's going to make him happy. I believe this will probably bring more joy and excitement to his life than anything he's ever done before, because he has a personal connection to it. That's what I believe. The other part is having the right circle around you. And if you don't have the right circle around you, like for years, I didn't have a circle. I did. It was God, me, and whatever type of music I wanted to listen to, right? Because that emotes different emotions from you, right? Okay. And so if you don't have that circle, create it. But you got to be okay being alone and walking the journey alone until your right people come and find you, or vice versa.
How do you know when you have to reach out to somebody to get the help? Is there something that's a telltale sign?
I think that just comes from discernment, and discernment comes from your faith. Discernment comes from faith. So you should know based off of your connection, right, when that person is right or when you need to reach out. So for instance, right, the book is completely finished, right? So now I'm outside. I'm networking. I'm making it happen. But don't get it twisted. I have met some sketchy individuals. And yeah, I don't know if y'all want me to share. Y'all want me to share this story?
Hey, we real on
All right,
we real on
all
here.
right. So y'all, you guys know who this book is targeted towards, right? Okay.
Yes.
So a gentleman recently, 2 weeks ago, said, "I'm going to give you a trial run. I want you to come into my facility, and I want you to facilitate this book to 80-year-old senior citizens." With all due respect, I lose all my youth when I do that. Okay. They already don't want to hear nothing from a 30-year-old. You think me on video with senior citizens is going to get them in the right mindset to want to have this?
That's not your target audience.
It's not. It's not. So you have to know. You have to use your discernment. And I mean, we've been on this earth long enough, right? So we have instincts that kick in that say, he's right, she's right, he's wrong, he's wrong. As far as mental health, I do believe in going to get help. During the pandemic, I think, during the pandemic, I started this out as a joke to go to a therapist through the VA. When I found the right therapist, Dr. K, listen, everything got released. And so everybody before me seeing that therapist, they have no idea what this version of me is like. None. But they would be proud. So I am an advocate for going to get help.
That's great.
I see that you have, we talked about therapy. We talked about a circle of friends. Oftentimes, the first step is the hardest step to take. How do you take that first step? How do you, I'm so depressed. I'm in such a funk. I don't know what to do. Maybe I lost my job. Maybe my marriage is, whatever it is. How do you take that first step to break that cycle?
You have to take it blindly. You have to take it blindly. In the words of Kenyatta, you have to do it scared.
Yeah, we call that faith.
Yeah. Certain people that are not religious don't want to hear that, right? So I'm going to say it in layman's terms. You got to do it scared, and you got to do it blindly, knowing that you're going to come out on the other side of that, and it's going to be a rainbow.
Mm.
You're talking to somebody that was homeless for 8 months in Los Angeles when I first moved there, sleeping in my car. So instead of choosing to lay with a woman at night, I chose to sleep in my car. I didn't know what this neighborhood was going to do to me. I didn't know if somebody was going to try to take my tires off the car or whatever the case may be. I did it blindly. And when I did it blindly, it worked. You have to be okay making yourself uncomfortable to get what you say you want out of life.
Say it again.
You have to be uncomfortable doing what you don't want to do. You have to.
Yeah, complacency is the enemy, man. I love this.
So waking up going to Starbucks every morning to job search relentlessly led me to a job. I put the work in. But I also wasn't sending the HR people emails at 12 o'clock when I was waking up over this girl house. Now I'm sending the emails at 8 o'clock, 8:30 when they're at their desk checking emails.
Mm-hmm.
So we can get some type of traction. That's what you want. You want a little bit of traction. Like the wheels on your car when it's raining. That's how it probably feels to them, right? Their tires are hydroplaning. They're about to spin out of control. You just want some traction. But you have to allow for that traction to happen. What do you got to do in this sense, right? You got to slow down and think about what you're doing.
Focus.
Focus.
You know, Brian, one of the quotes that I love is to have a comeback, you need a setback.
Absolutely.
So you can't have a comeback without a setback.
For sure.
So for our audience, you and I have completely not practiced this at all. But I want to hear the motivational speech you're going to give to the Indiana Pacers
He didn't even
before
warm you up for this one.
Thursday, before Thursday night's game. So you are now the coach. You've got the Indiana Pacers in your locker room. Coach, let me hear your motivational speech.
Do y'all want to go to Cancun or y'all want to play one more game? Because that's just really it. Okay, so let's take the playoffs, right? Okay, James Harden was ready to go to Cancun. That's why he didn't show up. That's it. He was ready to go home. Anthony Edwards, he was ready to go to Cancun. That's why they didn't show up. That's it. All you got to do is push it to game 7, and you have a chance. That's it.
Great.
Two best words in sports. Game 7.
Yep.
Yeah, we forgot to warm you up about the softball
no warm up
questions
needed.
from
No warm up needed. I played ball
Lloyd.
my whole life. It's okay.
Yeah, Lloyd, that's what he did.
It's okay.
Lloyd,
It's
continue,
okay.
please.
Thank you for that. I'll pass it over to Jimmy or Kobe.
Shout out to my coaches, Coach Rowe and Coach Reynolds, because that's what they would say. Y'all want to win or y'all want to go to Cancun? Simple as that.
Yeah, it's a simple question. Let's go to work, right? Let's go to work.
Let's go to work.
Man, so man, I'm gonna switch gears a little bit, man, because I do want to talk to our audience and our network. And we talk to employees and employers. So looking at your book, to me, your book is the prerequisite for regular life, meaning work, school, whatever. And if you get yourself lined up properly ahead of time, those things will come easier.
For sure.
What would you say to an employee that's past your youth stage? Because, like I believe what you're saying, we have a hard time at our level reaching the younger level, especially at this stage in society, in my opinion. It was easier when I was younger. Now it's very difficult.
Yeah.
Right. So what would you say to an employee right now that's looking to change and to put themselves in a better position based off of the principles in your book?
A better position as an entrepreneur or within that company, how to level up within the company?
I'm going to say as a person, because we don't just teach people to level up. To give you a good example of what we stand for, we're really a personal development program disguised as an employee program.
Understood.
So you can take that wherever you go. So I would never lock somebody into an employee position, but I would definitely encourage them to go wherever their hearts fit.
Right.
But obviously we need employees.
Right.
So you don't want to tell every employee you should be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
And then all
absolutely.
employees can't be entrepreneurs. So I think you can
Sure.
answer that based off of just humans, period.
For sure. So as you know, the book is around personal development, self-discovery, and self-awareness, right?
Yes.
So, just answering simple questions like, are you independent? How are you independent, right? Are you showing a positive attitude? Why are you showing a positive attitude? These are basic but necessary questions that I feel a lot of us overlook because they are so basic, right? But when, again, at the foundation of who you are, I believe that's going to yield you whatever it is you want out of life. If you don't have a positive attitude, doors will not open. People's discernment for you will not be what you want it to be. Their disposition towards you will be completely the opposite of what you want to see. Most of my jobs, I've gotten hired on the spot. So when I went to my first job in LA after being homeless, right, or during that phase to get out of that, they hired me on the spot. I don't know what it was, but I know the military had a lot to do with it, right? My disposition, my bearing that I came in there with, my assertiveness, and then the way I communicated, right?
Yeah, that kind of goes to the next question that I was going to tell you. You kind of answered it, but I'm gonna give it to you anyways. You said you don't know what it was. I do. It's the energy, it's the confidence, it's the presence. And so my question was gonna be, do you think that it starts inside and you have a lot of control with that outside? But you kind of answered it, because I think that if you go in with the right attitude and just like you said, you work on yourself, ask yourself those right questions, right, the things that you say on the inside are going to change everything on the outside.
Absolutely. So it's like dating, right? Where I hear it's pee in the dating pool out here. Listen, you have pee in your heart. That's what's happening, right? And so this is your attitude. When a young man approaches you, he may be worth it or not, but you already have peace. So that's what you're exuding.
Oh, I agree. I agree.
People don't understand how kinetic energy is and how that works.
They call it an algorithm. I call it the people.
Yeah, they don't understand this. So yes, you go into an interview and you have the right. So I'm figuring out people don't even know how to dress for interviews anymore, right? They don't know the questions to ask the employer. That shows the interest that you have, right? That also shows them the research you've done, which means you're intentional about working here. This is not to go get a bag.
I love it. Jimmy.
Let me jump in as we are prone to do. I would like to give a shout out to our sponsor. One of our sponsors, as you hear us speak of week to week, is Waylot. What are you leaving on the table? So if you're a small business owner, medium business owner, large business owner, and you want to figure out how to increase your revenue, reach out to Waylot. That's WAYLOTT.com. And they'll go ahead. You can schedule an appointment with them. They will have a short discussion with you on the phone. They'll run you through a free analysis, initial analysis. If you like that initial analysis, they will show you how to multiply your revenue umpteen degrees. In fact, they guarantee that they will identify at least 69 times the cost of the services that you purchase from them for them to identify the revenue. So I think you owe it to yourselves to reach out to Waylot, WAYLOTT.com. Thank you, Waylot. With that, Brian, I want to focus a little more on your book. A central theme of your book, as you're teaching youth to prepare themselves for the workplace, to prepare themselves for life, really. You speak a lot about vision, and you have to have, with vision comes visualization. So can you tell us in your words how visualization, how being able to look into the future and think about who you want to be, how you want to get there, who you want to become, how do you employ that in your book?
There are key principles in the book. Self-discovery and self-awareness, just really knowing who you are. Once you know who you are, there's nothing you can't see, right? I think the window is wide open. And so when you do start to dream, you have a growth mindset. A lot of people have a fixed mindset, right? Because of where we come from, which is unfortunate. And I get it, because if you don't see anybody do so I'm gonna just put it, listen, stop it. The rappers that y'all see, okay? They are emerging by the day, okay? Because record label CEOs have empowered them, okay? So that's what another young man or young girl is seeing. So she's saying, whoa, he did it. I can do it too. Now it's 20 of them at the same time, all birthed in the same neighborhood, talking about the same detriment to our community. So what happens when they see a black man as cool as me that wears a suit and can wear rich before the money streetwear? He has a book about something positive. I can do it too now. I can do it, right? One of the gentlemen today, shout out to Street Frat, he asked me some of the key pages to kind of go over with the kids in Colorado, because they're rolling out the book today to their young people. I said, make sure you read. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I appreciate it. Shout out to everybody who helped me with it. Shout out to everybody. I said, make sure you read them the copyright page, because this is the most important right here. Not enough people talk about the meat and potatoes of how to do something. It's not just, I woke up and I did it. It is, no, I had to research, I had to have a visual. I had to have a dream. I had to know what came before me. All books have a copyright page. All of them have, what do you call that number on the back? I forgot it. Jesus. Oh my goodness. What is it?
The IBX number?
Yes, the IBN number. Okay. That's your social security number for a book. That's what happens as people like myself and others start to emerge and set a different narrative. Now they have a different visual of what success looks like.
We would like to help you along that journey, because Toby and I just recently, meaning this morning, had a conversation about the challenges of youth who don't have anything to compare with, right? They weren't born with a silver spoon. They didn't come from an affluent lifestyle. They really don't understand what can be attained, and therefore they don't have that ability to have the same type of visualization that you or Kobe or Lloyd or I might have, or anybody in our audience. So what can we do as individuals? What can we do as a society? And you talked about it, having leaderships emerge from the community and give back to the community by sharing information and creating a way
You
out.
can teach them about being rich before the money. That's what you can teach them. Rich before the money, the intangibles that set you apart, that differentiate you from the next young man or young lady.
Thank you for that.
Yes.
Powerful.
Yes.
Now, let me ask you about Rich Before the Money. You got it on, and is that your brand?
This is my brand, Rich Before the Money.
So I want to talk about this a little bit, because I didn't get this in the memo, right? Rich Before the Money. How did you come up with Rich Before the Money? What does that stand for?
Story.
Yeah, I want the story.
The story. Shout out to my ex, Kenyetta. I like to shout her out. She cool. This is my people's, man.
That's all good.
People don't like to shout out. I like to shout out my people's. Kenyetta, we were at a Christmas party, Marina Del Rey, affluent lifestyle, right? Yeah. Okay. Her boss, his husband, he wanted to do a toast, for everybody that were there. Now, they're doctors, they're nurse practitioners, they're all type of people in the medical world. He says, yeah, I want to do a toast to being rich. And I was like, I'm not toasting to that. Like, imagine somebody, just imagine somebody doing that. Right. Like, I'm snatching my glass.
Because you ain't rich, right?
I'm not doing that. I'm just not doing that. And so she nudges me like, yo, like, you really gonna do that right now? And I'm like, I'm not toasting to that. Like, you can toast to that. Go ahead. Right? You got it. So anyway, they toasted. This guy, he pulled me to the side and we had a talk. He said, what's going on, Brian? Did I do something wrong? I was like, yeah. I was like, I'm not toasting to being rich. Like, I'm already rich. And he was like, yeah, I didn't kind of mean it in the monetary. I said, man, I'm rich before the money. That was the night I said it. So when I said it, I said, whoa. So I'm in the car and I said, yo, you can't forget this. You cannot forget this. So I put it in my vault. You guys know how when you start to compose an email, it goes to your drafts, right? So I put it in there and then I closed it just to make sure it was in there. Okay. Fast forward during the pandemic. So matter of fact, I think this happened, what was this, like 2014, 15. During the pandemic, which is what, 2021?
Right.
I sat on it that long, y'all. I sat on it that long. And during the pandemic, I remember it like yesterday, my cousin and his best friend, shout out to you, Good. Shout out to my cousin, Jay Will. They came to LA and I already had it in my mind. I said, I'm about to show them something. They all come to the house and I said, y'all got to show y'all some ideas I got. So by this time, I have 20 different concepts for shirts and sayings and phrases, right? And I said, this is the one I'm going with, y'all, right here, Rich Before the Money. And they was like, yeah, we like that. We like that. Now, it's not even developed yet. It's just words, okay? During most of the entire pandemic, while I'm going through therapy, I'm healing at the same time. That's important. I'm healing at the same time. I am working closely with the designer on Fiverr. So if for you guys that don't know, Fiverr is a freelance open portal for everybody that does everything. They can do everything from graphics to pitch decks to one sheets, whatever. Okay.
My secret weapon.
Check it out, y'all. Check it out. Okay. Check it out. All right. So I'm working with a designer on Fiverr. He tells me how much he charges, and I said, nah, man, that's come on, man. That's you trying to kill me, man. But I respected his work. So I said, I gotta trust you. He said, you gotta trust me too. I said, all right, man, because you don't know these people. You never met them. You're not on video with them. It's just messages. He could scam me or anything. So we worked through it. He sends me back 5 designs. I said, whoa, my goodness. Now we have a visual for Rich Before the Money, right? Shout out to my homegirl, Pam. She has an annual beach party. It was a girl there named Sherelle. Sherelle, what's up? Poppin', I call you, whatever. I go to her and I said, yo, I think I'm going to use this design for the new clothes. She was like, boy, her eyes lit up. And she's one of the most fashionable women that I know. Okay. So yeah, it really meant a lot for her to say that. So then I end up coming home. I brung my whole family, the Rich Before the Money hoodies and t-shirts. And it was like, is this it? I was like, this is it. My brother couldn't take his hoodie off. My cousin couldn't. My mama comes in the living room. She says, that's really effed up. Y'all ain't bring me none.
Yeah.
Because I gave my mama hers, right? And I'm sorry, y'all. I don't cuss like that, but you know, I'm excited. It is what it is.
No, we're good.
Right? I said, Mama, I got yours in the suitcase. She's like, really? I said, yeah, man. She gonna throw that hoodie on so quick. And I said, oh, I got something. Oh, I got something. So my family validating it, let me know I needed to go get it trademarked. Got to go get it trademarked. Because it was my fear that Floyd Mayweather or somebody like that, affluent, that got a lawyer on speed dial, can say, I saw this. Get this now. Because it only take one phone call. Y'all know this.
Facts.
It only take one phone call.
Facts.
Now, I got scammed twice during the pandemic. I'm not mad to say that. It is what it is. Now I have the attorney that I need, right?
It was a lesson.
It was a lesson.
Yeah.
It was a lesson. But the thing about it that pissed me off was it's an all-black group, right? And we're all in there soliciting our business, but we sometimes scamming each other. What is going on right now?
Yeah.
You know?
That's a whole nother conversation, but I feel you. I feel you on that, but that's a whole nother conversation.
Right. So after the second time, I was almost discouraged. But I say, you know what? Third time's a charm. You got to do this. So instead of going through this group on Facebook, I went heavy with the research on Instagram. Okay. Shout out to you, Chantel. Shout out to you. Shout out to you on the East Coast. She was everything she said she was. Okay. Walk me through the entire process. It was pricey, but it is what it is. It's intellectual property. It's generational wealth at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Nobody can take it.
And sometimes you gotta pay your price.
Right.
Sometimes you can't cut the corners. Right. There's no stairs. There's no elevator. You got to take the stairs.
Right. And so sometimes when we're talking about generational wealth, we're only talking about property, right? There are other forms of intellectual property. I haven't hit the property threshold yet, but I do have a copyright that expires never. And I do have a trademark, and we coming back with another copyright maybe next week for something powerful that y'all have no clue about. I can't wait to roll it out on y'all. So
well, let me ask you one more question before I take it back over, and it's still involving the Rich Before the Money. Tell me what that stands for. Tell me why you picked that and what that really means to you. I
just feel like people just started to value money way too much, and the morals and values became extinct, right? It was more like a popularity contest, right? Somebody said something on the podcast not too long ago. He's a rapper, as a matter of fact. He said, calling people broke is the new racism.
Mm.
That's terrible.
Never even thought
See
about
what I'm
that,
saying?
but yeah, you're right.
You have no value unless you have money.
Yeah.
When I have integrity, when I have discipline, when I'm respectful.
Now that's what I was getting to.
What are we talking about right
Is that
now?
rich? The integrity, family, right? Tell me what your rich is.
No, rich stands for rich. It's not an acronym. It's not an acronym. It's just rich. Rich in everything else.
No, I mean, well, okay, I'll tell you my rich.
Okay.
I'm rich in my environment, my businesses.
Oh, okay.
I'm rich in my family. That's what to me. That's what I see when you say rich before the money. It means I'm rich right now. Money doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
I'm rich in my environment.
Absolutely.
I'm rich in my family.
Absolutely.
I'm rich in the people that I deal with. I'm rich in our conversation.
I'm rich in my faith.
I'm rich in my faith.
I'm rich in my surroundings.
Facts.
Yeah. Vegas is home for me, so I'm rich in my surroundings.
Yeah. See, that's why I love it. I love it. I love it. Jimmy, please.
I'm going to turn it back over to Lloyd. We kind of stepped on his time a little
I hope
bit.
y'all enjoying. For everybody that's in the comments, I hope y'all enjoying this. I really do. I can't see the comments, but I hope y'all enjoying this.
Lloyd.
Yeah, I'm just curious to know how you find the right balance. People who you have a big interest in helping people, and a lot of what you're talking about with rich before the money. We're wealthy with the family, with the people that love us. Hopefully we have health and all that stuff.
Yes, sir.
But when you do things for other people the way that you do, how do you find the balance between making money, getting up when the publisher calls at 6 a.m, and still doing it, still doing the charitable work?
I have fun. I mean, this is something I love to do, but I also have fun, recreational fun, traveling, jet skiing, talking to my loved ones who pour back into me, right? As they see me pouring into others. That's how. I believe a big part of this was just me understanding my calling, right? So before I moved to Vegas, I was a behavior interventionist. I traveled extensively. I'm talking about 2-3 times a week, right, for a company. And so I was fired because they knew I would become who I am today. It is a thing for recidivism for companies like this to want these kids to go back into programs that cost $50,000 for a certain amount of months. You understand? I take them out of business once this book gets solidified to the world. I take them out of business. You think their parents are going to come to me or come to a workshop that I'm running now?
Yeah, that is another conversation, another conversation. Right?
Kobe, I came here to get a real, man.
I love it. We love this.
Nobody's ever heard this.
Yeah, we love it.
A lot of people haven't even known that I was a behavior interventionist for 4 years straight.
Yeah.
But
Ryan, let me jump in with another behavioral question. How do the Pacers keep from turning the ball over?
They just got to settle down. I mean, but it's kind of hard though when OKC is just flying at you all over the place. I mean, they are a tight-knit group of people that hang out with each other outside of basketball, and that just shows every time they step on the court. Just look at their post-game interviews when everybody is right. It's a main player, and then you got the Supremes behind them. You know what I'm saying? And they're dancing, they're laughing, they're having fun, and so that translates to the court. I don't see that same body language from Indiana.
Yeah, no, and I have them on speed dial, so they heard every word you said.
Good.
So watch on Thursday to see if they pick that up.
Yes, sir.
Gentlemen, back to you.
Lloyd, how did you become a Pacers fan? Reggie Miller hasn't played for them for years. That was USC's contribution to it.
But when you don't have a dog in the fight, all you want is Game 7. So,
Brenton, what's up? What's up?
Yeah, man. So, Jimmy, why don't you go ahead and do the shameless?
Okay, so as you may know, because you have listened to a couple of our shows, we have this section of our show, which
shout out to you, Bonafide 100.
Bonafide's great. This portion of the show is called Shameless Self-Promotion, and this is where you have the chance to talk about the success profile, how people get in touch with you. You can talk about your motivational speaking, where you're going to be speaking next. You can talk about your the book signing that's coming up. You can talk about the fact that you just got the Los Angeles 100 Men Club to buy a bulk purchase.
This is your
you.
spotlight, is what he's saying.
Yes, sir.
And you can talk about the number of chapters across the nation. You can talk about the books in Colorado. You can talk about what we're going to try and do with you with the Clark County.
I don't know yet. Y'all got to tell me after I finish.
So go ahead and self-promote.
First of all, shout out to Cultures Network. I just saw your comment on there. The culture does need this. The youth does need this. So I appreciate that. Let's connect soon. The book can be purchased on Amazon. All you have to do is type in The Success Profile. If you would like to inquire about bulk purchasing, we have our own special tiers for bulk purchasing, and I can be contacted directly at contact@brianesibly.com. This book is elevation. This book has evolved from my 14-year-old version of this to the prototype, which was debuted 2 years ago. And now we have the finished product, the actual book, The Success Profile. Recently, as of Saturday, I'm going to speak on the event. I have been the keynote speaker for the 100 Black Men of Los Angeles for the last 4 years.
Yay.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they just said, listen, you can stop when you want to stop. I guess I nailed it the first time I did it. And so I want to shout out to Captain Burton. Captain Burton, along with Ricardo Bird, are the mentor coordinators. And they saw it fit that I need to close out, save the best for last. They also knew I was coming with giveaway items to acknowledge and recognize those young men that were the standouts. I call them my MVPs. I'm proud to say that we've progressed in acknowledging those MVPs. We went from 1 MVP, and I'm going to give you guys the backstory of the first one in a few. We went from 1 to 3 to 5. Right? I've been able to just up that number because these kids have been able to show up, show out, and participate. My favorite story about this is my first year, I plan to give, his name is Samuel, I remember it. I plan to give him $200, okay, for being a standout young man. When I proposed this $200 to him, I made him get up. All his peers saw him coming up to the front. Guess what happened? The president at the time of 100 Black Men said, no, we gonna match that 200 he just gave you. That is the domino effect that we need to create. Once one school district sees me, guess what? The next school district is on. They're not far behind.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, this is a monkey see, monkey do society. Okay.
Yes.
But I was proud as hell when that president stood up and said, no, we matching this from the organization. So instead of that young man being acknowledged just by me, he finally got it acknowledged by the organization.
Which is big.
Instead of $200, $400 on a random Saturday.
Yeah.
These kids don't like getting up on the weekends. You know that.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So this past weekend, Saturday, I was, 4th year straight. We ran the Success Profile. I've completely changed my presentation. It is off the chain. It's ready for a book tour. It's ready for a presentation tour.
That's great.
Not even going to play with you. And by me doing so and them seeing the impact of those new batch of kids that the Success Profile had on them, the second in line to the president of the 100 Black Men of Los Angeles reached out to the number 3. They were in the same room. They were talking like, right? He says, tell him after this event, we're going to make a bulk purchase for this book. We need this book in this organization. We need this book in this organization. So with the 100 Black Men deciding to do that, we're steps away from being national because 100 Black Men is a national organization, over 25 different chapters in the U.S. So y'all just get ready. We coming. We coming, y'all. My next engagement, I will have a book signing out here. East Las Vegas Community Center is what they've locked in. That's going to be on the 28th of this month. I'm excited about that. I'm going to be the guest speaker and signing books. So, yeah, who knows what's after that. Shout out to Trenton. Shout out to Miss Penny. Those are some individuals out here that are connecting me with the foster care system, as well as a summer camp that's out here. So if you guys can champion this to these people to let them know this is necessary, I would greatly appreciate it.
Quick question for you.
Sure.
Who's Kay Wilson?
That's my mama.
She said you helped her with her final, and she's talking about Carol Dweck, which I know very well. She talks about psychology of mindset. and between a growth mindset and a fixed mindset.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's a good book. But
Absolutely.
anyway,
Excuse me. Back to
Jim.
shameless self promotion. What about your product? What about your hats, your hoodies? Do you have? I know you have an Instagram page. How about a Shopify or anything like that?
We took a step back from the clothes to completely focus on the book.
Okay.
The Rich Before the Money website is still there. If you want anything specifically, though, just message me and I'll send you an invoice. We're going to revamp the website. I'm going to scale it down a little bit because that's not my focus anymore.
Okay, but I do understand you're changing the colors to SC colors.
I have SC colors at home. Absolutely. But the book is only going to amplify the clothes because now people want to wear things that empower them and make them feel like they're supposed to feel.
Yes, sir.
So yeah. So much in store, guys. So much in store, guys.
Yeah, no, I think this has been great. I mean, your journey is incredible. It's powerful. I think you're in the right place. I relate to you a lot in your presentation and what you're talking about. I think we come from similar places, right? I do believe, like, this guy hears me all the time. I feel like I'm invisible because I'm trying to change the people that are closest to me, but the only people that change are the people that are farthest away, right? And so I've embedded a saying in my mindset that friends and family will elevate you after strangers celebrate you.
Yes.
And that's done so that you don't forget about it, because a lot of times, you said something earlier in the interview. You said that you give out so much and you go back and your family pours into you.
My family, my friends. Yep.
Right. And I think that's super important. Well, where you having something pour back in, because as a leader and as a person who's out on this journey doing something that a lot of people won't put on the I don't know what word I'm looking for, but they just won't do it.
Right.
And so
put on the armor.
You know how hard it is to get that back, or to receive flowers, or for somebody to say thank you. They may say thank you to you personally, but they'll never publicize that.
Right.
Like it's embarrassing or something.
Right.
So nah, man, it's I think you're on a great journey. I think that in my closing statements that you got a powerful message, and it's going to be very impactful because you're starting where it's needed, which is the youth.
The message is we don't need more rappers. We don't need more basketball players. Okay. That's the message right there. So we're going to create you from the bottom to the top. I
think society is showing us that already. Jimmy?
Yeah. Thank you so much for being on our show. We're approaching the end of the hour. You've been a fabulous guest. The message you have is national, international. You speechless, Mr. Jimmy? Important. No, I am. To some degree, I'm so.
Hey, you didn't make him cry, though. He cry every episode. I'm telling you. He'll be happy crying, though.
And thank you to the audience for being good listeners on the show again.
Absolutely.
Especially those of you that come every week. I'll say thank you on your behalf to Mr. Sibley. Brian, you've been great. We definitely plan to have you back on the show in the future because you're going to have more successes to share with us.
Yes, sir.
We would like to have you involved in our circle here in Las Vegas.
Thank you.
We are putting together a motivational tour of speakers that can go out specifically to the youth and help them make the right decisions in life. And you clearly have a motivational message that we'd like to share. So thank you for that.
Absolutely.
Lloyd?
I just wanted to echo everybody else's comments and say thank you very much. I totally agree with your message, and from the comments we got, there's a lot of people out there that understand it, and you have to want it, and you have to go get it. You really have to try.
And everybody has the ability to do that.
Yes, sir. Yep. Yes, sir. Vegas up now. If you have the contact to the 100 Black Men of Vegas, let's go ahead and put that together since LA is already on board.
Oh man, see, I love it. So you can see the chat, by the way. So that's great. But man, it's been another great episode. We had another great guest. It was an honor for us to have you on here, Mr. Sibley. I can't wait till we get the sound bites from this one. It's going to be awesome. Yes. So your clips are going to be dope. To the audience and the network, thank you for showing up. Please like, please subscribe. It helps us with the channel. It's a free way to support us.
Please subscribe.
We need that. We need the shares. We need this kind of information out to the community. We need to be on the right page. We need to support each other. We need to not only support each other by ways of doing this, but invest in each other, right? And really come up. Rising tide raises all ships. This is Great Employees Matter. Greatness, excellence, and motivation. Always be a gem, and we'll see you guys next week.
See y'all later. See y'all later. I
Thank
had a
you.
blast.